Hi everyone, I'm Julie Webb and welcome to another edition of UC Tech Chat. Today we're joined with Brian Ferguson.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about network readiness and QoS.
That's right.
So phone systems have come a long way.
Yes.
And they are very different than what they used to be in the past.
That's right.
So tell us from a technical perspective what people need to be prepared for when they start using the cool phone systems of the day.
Right. So phone systems are very different today than they used to be. You know, in the old days, you used to have a connection from your phone system directly to the phone company, and you'd have dedicated wires for all of your phones that would run inside your building, and everything was kind of contained in and of itself, and everything was good and easy, and it worked most of the time, and everybody just made simple phone calls. Well, now your phone system relies on your network. So you use your internal data network to also make your phone calls between each other inside the office and to people outside the office. So that adds a lot of complexity to make sure that you have the network equipment and bandwidth to support those kind of activities.
Well, let's start with bandwidth. What do you need to consider to be ready for a new phone system?
Right. So bandwidth is really the most important part because it is the lifeblood of your system.
Right.
So it's what carries all of the data from your network equipment to your phones and makes calls happen. So you need to make sure that you have enough bandwidth from your provider to support calls. And a good equation to kind of use to make sure that you have enough bandwidth is the average phone call for a voice over IP system takes about 100 kilobits per second. So if you multiply that number times the number of calls that your company makes at its max, that'll give you the bandwidth required for just the voice. And now you need to attach all of the bandwidth that you use for video and email and all the other things that your company does, and that'll give you a total bandwidth number that you need. So you use the formula and you'll make sure that you can support your voice calls.
What about network equipment? What hardware should companies consider or think about as they get into these new phone systems?
Yeah, so there are a couple. One of them is you want to have a business grade router. So a router is kind of like the traffic cop for your network. And if you purchased one at a consumer store, like an electronic store you might find around the city, you may want to reconsider and get a business grade router because they have features in it called QoS and some others that make sure that your traffic is going to be directed in the right direction. The other one is you want to have a switch that's called power over Ethernet. And what that does is it transfers the power along with your data connections to each phone so that each phone doesn't require its own power supply. So you can actually save a lot of money, $15, $20 a phone, by not having to buy a power supply for each phone purely by having the right network equipment.
I've heard QoS is an important feature to have with VoIP.
That's right.
What is it and how do companies ensure that QoS is in place?
Yeah, so QoS is extremely important, and it stands for quality of service. So what it does is it prioritizes any types of traffic, in our case voice traffic, to make sure that it has priority over everything else. So that now if you need to make a phone call, you know that your network is going to make sure that that phone call goes through over somebody using YouTube to download a video or downloading a giant music file from somewhere. You know that your phone calls and your customers are going to be taken care of because your voice calls are priority. And that's what QoS gives to you. And those business grade routers that I mentioned earlier provide QoS for your company.
Nice, nice. Well, that's been some great information. Thanks for being with us again.
All right, thank you.
And we'll see you next time for another edition of UC Tech Chat.